In this video, I'm going to tell you 8 things that you might forget to take to a Harescramble race. Thanks for tuning in to Dirt Biking with Donnie and Chase. I'm Donnie, and in this video, I'm going to tell you about 8 things that you may not think about or that you may forget when you go to a Harescramble race. So I'm not going to tell you about the most obvious things, like obviously you need your dirt bike and your helmet and things like that. This is like a more obscure list of things that you might not think about or that you might forget when you go to a race. So let's jump right into the list. Number 8 is money, cash specifically. It's rare that at any dirt bike race that they're set up to take debit cards or credit cards or any form of electronic payment. You're almost always going to need cash. You'll need cash for gate fees, entry fees, membership fees, transponders, and food vendors, among other things. You may even need to buy parts and supplies from other people at the race, so bring cash, you'll need it. Number 7 is shelter. You're going to need some type of shelter when you go to a Harescramble. You're going to spend considerable time at the event before and after the race. You may even have a break between motos depending on the format of the race. Some people bring giant toy hauler RVs, others bring a tailgate tent. Either way, weather conditions are almost never perfect, and you need some way to get out of the sun or the rain. I just bring a simple tailgate tent, and that works well most of the time. When it's hot out, I also bring along a small inverter generator and a couple of fans. The people who come to the race without any type of shelter usually end up under other people's tents. If you don't bring some type of shelter, at least bring a chair. There's nothing more frustrating than the return to the pits hot, tired, and beat up only to find someone sitting in your chair. If you're using a tailgate tent, don't forget tent stakes. The slightest wind gust will send these tents flying. Number 6, extra gloves and goggles. Almost every race is going to have some muddy areas, and if you get your gloves wet and muddy, it'll really affect your grip and you'll be much more likely to get blisters. You'll see a lot of guys throwing muddy goggles off and continuing the race without goggles. Your eyesight is far more important than any race, so put extra goggles and gloves out near the course before the race or have someone hand them to you as you pass by. Number 5, fire extinguisher. I had a scary moment in the pits at the 9-hour race a couple of years ago where a plastic gas can got left too close to the exhaust of the generator and melted a hole in the gas can. A friend of mine noticed it before it caught fire, but it could have been bad. But ever since then, I always have a fire extinguisher with me at the races, and I think everybody ought to have one. Number 4, medications and first aid. Advil, sunscreen, Bandaids, athletic tape, and antiseptic wipes are some of the things that I have with me at the races. You never know when you or somebody else nearby might need some of these things. Number 3, a towel. You may be covered in dust or mud when you finish a race, so it's really nice to have a towel. You can pour some water on it and wipe off most of the mud or dust before you put on clean clothes. I also like these BikeMaster compressed towelettes. These things are really cool. It's a little towelette that's compressed. Put a little bit of water on it. Unroll it, and you've got a nice moist towelette. It's a lot tougher than a paper towel would be, but you can clean your face or clean goggles or do about anything you need with this. Another thing I like to do with these is when you got a cooler with some icy water in there, especially in the summer when it's hot, take one of those things, drop it down into your cooler, into that ice water, and next thing you know, you got a nice icy cool wet wipe to wipe your face with or clean something off or whatever. So these things are really cool. You can get them on Amazon, and I'll put a link down in the description of this video, and you can also get them at Max Motorsports if you're nearby. Number 2, a trash bag. These events are typically held on private property, and it's common courtesy to pick up your trash and take it with you when you leave. You don't want to leave a big mess. It's very easy to forget a trash bag when you're packing up to go to a race, but it makes it so much easier when you're ready to clean up and leave for the day. But the next thing we're going to cover will help you remember that trash bag. And the number 1 thing that you need when you're going to a Harescramble that you're probably not thinking about is a checklist. This may be the most overlooked thing, but it'll make your life easier and reduce the stress of forgetting something important. I use my checklist both before I leave home as well as before I head to the starting line. Now, I don't have every single item on my checklist because some items just always stay in my truck, like Advil and chapstick. I also don't have dirt bikes on my checklist because if I forget the bikes, I probably shouldn't be racing. But I do have things on there that I need to pack for every race that would be a problem if I forgot. So what are some of the less obvious things that you take to dirt bike races that might help others out? Leave a comment and let us know what those things are. Hopefully this video included some things that helped you out, and if it did, click that like button because that helps us out. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Oh, one more tip for those of you that stayed around to the end of the video. You need some Band-Aids. And a lot of guys put Band-Aids over their nips to prevent chafing during the race. Now I don't have that problem, but when those guys come and ask to borrow a Band-Aid, they get the Mickey Mouse Band-Aids, and I charge $5 a piece for these in that situation, and they'll gladly pay it. That's the last tip for today. Thanks for watching.